A man who chases two rabbits catches neither. As someone who is driven to achieve, you want to accomplish a lot. You want to move the needle in all areas of your life, whether it's your health, your career, your relationships, your finances. But do you find that you're not really moving the needle in any of them? That's because you're chasing multiple rabbits at once. In this podcast, you're going to learn how to determine which rabbit to chase. You're going to learn how to evaluate what season of life you're currently in, where to spend a large proportion of your focus so that you can dramatically move the needle in that area of your life. And the result is going to be maximum progress, maximum happiness, and maximum fulfillment. Let's talk about how. Before we dive in, if you're listening on the Apple Podcast app or on Spotify, make sure you hit the follow button. And if you're watching on YouTube, then make sure you hit like and subscribe down below. All right, you guys, I'm really excited to talk about this proven plan, this system through which you can look at your life in order to actually build a life that you're proud of, to build a life that you're always being intentional with. Because I know so many people, those of you that I coach and those of you guys that I don't coach, you are living through life running like a chicken with your head cut off. You feel like you're trying to do this and then do this and then do this and then do this. And because of all of these things that are calling for your attention, you don't feel like you can really move the needle in any area of your life because all these things are getting in the way. And so today I want to provide a framework through which you can see your world and you can see your life so that you can make dramatic progress in whatever area of your life that you want to. Now, the kicker is that you can't do it in all areas of life simultaneously. But before we dive in, I want to let you know that I'm doing a brand new workshop called the Nutrition Mastery Workshop. If you have listened to the last few episodes, I had said on March 24th that we were doing a Fat Loss Forever workshop, but I'm actually transitioning it to what I'm calling the Nutrition Mastery Workshop. And the reason being is the Fat Loss Forever workshop that we did back in February went really well, but that is kind of Nutrition 1.0. And this is Nutrition 2.0. A lot of the people that I coached on that workshop, they enjoyed it, they liked it, but I want to make sure I serve them to a higher degree as well. And so if you're the type of person who feels like you, for the most part, have the basics down with nutrition, but you're looking to optimize further, your energy levels, your body composition, your ability for longevity, then join the Nutrition Mastery Workshop that's going to be on March 24th at 5 p.m. Central Time. Monday, March 24th at 5 p.m. Central Time. You can go to nickcarrier.com/mastery to sign up today. Again, nickcarrier.com/mastery to sign up today. So let's talk about it. There's kind of this three-step approach in order to build out this intentional life. And this three-step approach is not just a three-step approach, but it's a cycle that you will rinse and repeat depending on the season of life that you're in. So what I'm trying to get for you to do is to be able to maximize follow through. I want you to maximize your follow through on your goals. I'm trying to get you to be able to set a goal and actually see it all the way through and not get distracted by this rabbit and that rabbit and that rabbit and that rabbit. That verb that I started off the proverb, that I started off the podcast with, a man who chases two rabbits catches none, is a Chinese proverb that I've read before. And I hope that a lot of you guys resonate with that quote, and you're constantly moving from one shiny object to another shiny object, therefore never catching any shiny object. And so today is figuring out what season of life that I'm in, am I in, how can I channel my focus in one direction so that I actually get dramatic progress. And so step number one is to assess. Now, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that I like to see life through a framework of 6 areas of our life. And if you're watching on YouTube or on Spotify, we're going to put the graphic for this framework up right here. What I like to call it is the hexagon of competence. And we have 6 areas of our life: our health, our personal life, our career, our finances, our spiritual life, and our relationships. Every single one of us has those 6 areas of life. And we experience problems and opportunities in each of those 6 areas. And it's my deep down belief that the biggest mistake that people make in life that absolutely crushes them to the core is when they neglect one area of life at the expense of maybe improving on another area of life. And when you neglect one area of life for a particularly long period of time, negative consequences are going to occur. So what do I mean by that? That means like if you neglect your health for one day, you're probably not going to have any negative consequences. If you neglect it for a week, if you neglect it for a month, if you neglect it for a year, for 5 years, 10 years, you're probably going to experience some negative consequences, not just in the health area of your life, but that's going to permeate into the other areas of life, because you are a multitude of beings in your life. You're not just you and your career, you're you and your health, you're you and your relationship, so on and so forth. And that means a problem in one area of life doesn't just stay in that area of life, it seeps into the other areas of life. And so we need to understand that. And so we need to make sure that we have a certain level of focus in all areas of life at any given point in time. And what so many people do is they maybe fully dedicate themselves to their career and they neglect their health. And then they wake up 10 years down the road and they're 40 pounds they're overweight and they're like, what the hell happened? Or they fully dedicate themselves to their career, or maybe they fully dedicate themselves to their health and they don't dedicate enough time with their significant other, their spouse or their family members. And then they find themselves divorced after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And so it's this neglect that leads to negative consequences. And so we want to make sure that we're always spending some focus, and I like to say it's some time, energy, and attention in all 6 areas of life. And these finite resources of time, energy, and attention are exactly that. They're finite resources. We can't spend 3 hours a day in all 6 areas every single day. We have to have some give and take. There needs to be an opportunity cost. Some days we're going to spend an hour on our health. Some days maybe 2 hours on our health. Some days maybe 15 minutes. Some days maybe none. Who knows? So we have to figure out how to integrate and how to apply our time on a weekly basis in a manner through which is most impactful for us and for you, given the season of life that you're in. There might be seasons of life where you can really go gung-ho on your health and you're maybe spending less time on your career, or vice versa, or in any area of life. And that's fine. That's why we have different seasons of life. And so really the first step after I give you that context is to assess what season of life you're in. And so what do I mean by that? That means that I'm going to have another graphic here if you're watching on YouTube or on Spotify. The left wheel is about evaluating the status in each area of your life at the current time. I like to ask people, okay, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rank your current level of performance in each of the 6 areas? Meaning 5 is I'm crushing it. 5 is I'm doing exactly what I want to do. I've got the habits, I'm getting the results, so on and so forth. 1 is, man, I'm really sucking in this area of life right now. Like I'm nowhere where I want to be. I never am doing the right habits. Like my results are really crappy right now. Where do I currently stand? And so you rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, your current level of performance in all 6 areas. And I think all of us can do that. We all have a certain internal sense of where we stand in these 6 areas. And you got to be honest with yourself. And while you're ranking yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, you'll kind of have certain justifications and certain reasonings in your head. You know, if you rank yourself a 2 in a particular area, you have a reasoning for why you're putting down 2. And if you put a 5 down for an area, you have a reasoning for why you're putting down a 5. And so once you have ranked yourself in all 6 areas and you have come up with your current status in all 6 areas, then you look at them and you're like, okay, which area is maybe the lowest level of performance? Or another way you could ask the question is, which of these 6 areas am I currently most frustrated with right now? I also like to ask a question, if all areas of the performance, if all 6 areas stayed the same, but I could change one of them, I could improve one area, which would make the biggest positive impact in my life? And so if you ask yourself those questions and you realize, you know, my relationships right now, it is really bugging me. It is really nagging me deep down. It is very frustrating. I really need to work on my relationships. Like, sure, I'm not exactly where I want to be in my career, but like if I'm there for the next few months, then so be it. Yeah, I'm not exactly happy where I am with my health, but it's not terrible. And if I'm staying at that level of performance with my health the next few months, then so be it. But my relationships, man, they're really killing me. And you could feel that way about any other area of life. Then it's like, okay, let's pick that area to dedicate more time, energy, and attention than we're used to. And what I like to define that as is to spike in that particular area. So step 1 was to assess. Figure out where you stand in all of those 6 areas. Step number 2 is to aim. What I mean by aim is to determine which of those 6 areas you're going to spend more time, energy, and attention than you typically would do, with the goal and with the intention of making dramatic progress or eliminating that frustration that you're currently experiencing in that area of life. And then you have to do a little bit of work on yourself of being like, okay, what does it look like? What kind of goal could I set in this area of life so that I would eradicate my frustration, or at least to a large degree eradicate a lot of the frustration? It might not be perfect by the end of these next 3 months, let's say, but it's going to be a whole hell of a lot better than I am right now. And that's what I would think about. I would think about it on a 3-month time frame. I think 3 months is a great amount of time where you can make significant progress, but it's not too long to where you kind of get bored with a particular goal, or something in your life changes and you're in a different season of life. And so you want to assess where you currently stand, then aim by picking one of the areas to spike in, and determine what that means, determine what goal you want to set, determine what habits you want to form, and then you act. You find a way to document your performance. You find a way to document whether or not you're following through with the habits that you are laying out for yourself, and you find a way to track whether or not you're making progress on your goals. So you set up some sort of scoreboard, whether that's an Excel file, a sheet of paper, a poster board, whatever fires you up, whatever form of a scoreboard fires you up, you want to make sure that you're acting and you're holding yourself accountable, because what gets measured gets managed. And so you want to make sure you're holding yourself accountable to a high standard. And I would recommend probably finding some sort of accountability partner, some sort of a coach, or something to be able to push you so that you can really make the progress that you want to make. And so we assess our current state by ranking ourselves in all 6 areas. Then we aim by picking the area where we're experiencing the most frustration in our life right now. And we pick a goal and some habits that will help us eradicate that frustration or largely eliminate a lot of the frustration. And then we go. We act by tracking our performance, seeing if we're making progress, seeing if we're following through on the progress, on the habits that we actually are laying out for ourselves. We assess, we aim, we act. Then, after 3 months goes by, we repeat that process. We repeat that cycle. We assess again, okay, am I feeling better in that area of life? If the answer is like, yeah, I'm doing a whole hell of a lot better, I feel really, really good where I am, then it's like, okay, now let's just manage that area of life, and let's pick another area that we're maybe frustrated with, or we feel like we could make a lot of strides in, and let's spike in that area for the next 3 months. And then you aim, you act, and you can repeat this process. I repeat this process every 3 months to really get a firm understanding of where I am so that I can continue to make progress intentionally in all areas of life. And so, ideally, this could look like during a 3-month period, you spike in maybe your finances, and then you get yourself to where you're pretty good, or maybe you do it for another 3 months. And then after 6 months of spiking in your finances, you feel really good. And then you spend the next 3 months really spiking in your relationships and making sure that you're calling the people you want to call, spending the quality time with the people you need to spend quality time with. And after those 3 months, you feel really good. And then you really focus in on your career for maybe the next 3 months or the next 6 months. And so over time, you're leveling up in all of these areas so that you can really become an upgraded, better version of yourself. So we assess, we aim, we act, we repeat. This allows you to really build the life that you want, to maximize your happiness, to maximize your fulfillment, and to really maximize your progress closer and closer to your best you. Now, to shift gears again, we're having a new workshop that I'm calling the Nutrition Mastery Workshop that I'm really excited to dive into. It's basically a methodical approach, an 8-step methodical approach designed to enhance your gut health, your immune system, your longevity, your brain function, your energy, and more. And you can go to nickcarrier.com/mastery to sign up for that free workshop today. Again, Fat Loss Forever Workshop was Nutrition 1.0. The Nutrition Mastery Workshop is Nutrition 2.0 to really take things to a whole new level and to really get some clarity on what some next level habits might be for you that are levels 5, 6, 7, and 8. So sign up today at nickcarrier.com/mastery. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I hope you gained some insight as to how you can determine which rabbit to chase after. Because I know you guys listen to this podcast. You don't listen to the Best You podcast unless you're driven to improve, unless you're hungry for growth. And that means that you're usually not just hungry for growth in one area of life. You're usually hungry for growth in multiple areas of life. A lot of you guys right now are parents and you want to be better parents, and your spouses and you want to be a better spouse, and you want to improve in your health and you want to improve in your relationships, and all that's great. But you've got to identify one, because we don't have the bandwidth as human beings to be able to dramatically move the needle in all areas of life at all times. But that's fine. That's why we have seasons of life. We need to accept the fact that there are seasons of life. We need to accept our limitations of time, energy, and attention and use them intentionally and use them wisely. I hope today's episode helps you. I hope you share it with a friend or family member who this might help. I hope this helps you obviously get closer to the best version of yourself, but I also hope that it gets you closer to your health and fitness goals as well. Like and subscribe to the show if you have not yet already. If you're watching on YouTube, hit like and subscribe down below. Appreciate you guys listening. I hope the episode gets closer and helps you get closer and closer to your best you.